Welcome to today's teachable moment, the hidden blunder why h6 collapses e4, e5 positions. The game we're going to be using is from this past week from Krause and Mazatis, and it's a recurring strategic error that you see in e4, e5 positions or e4, e5 structures when players, because they are afraid of bishop g5, they play h6. Many players make this move automatically, assuming it neutralizes bishop g5, or at least buys safety. In reality, it often creates the exact opposite, a long-term weakness with no compensating value. In the game between Sebastian Krause and Benjamin Mazatis, from the OIBM 2025, h6 was played. And it wasn't just inaccurate, it triggered a complete collapse of the position. Up to move 8, black's position is fully viable. But the moment h6 lands on the board, the structure has targets that white can focus on. It weakens the king side and the light squares and delays development and gives white an absolute clear target to play against. And in the game, white immediately started to work on it with purposeful play, as you will see. So essentially, by having a pawn on h6, you have a target on your back with g4, g5, whichever way white prepares for it, and by the time the pawn lands there, the position is being opened up. And the lesson is very straightforward. So in open e4, e5 systems, every tempo matters. So moves like h6 that don't contribute to the development of or central control, they create a structural debt, and strong players punish this debt immediately. And this game is a textbook example of how quickly the initiative can turn into a direct attack on the king. Let's break it down. White played c3. The idea behind c3 is, number one, to preserve the light squared bishop, because normally when it gets attacked, then it can just tuck away here. But there's an extra strategic idea, which is that c3 usually takes b4 and d4 away from the c6 knight, which is the problem of the knight usually in these e4, e5 positions. After castles, now white plays knight f6 check first and queen f6 to make sure that if he starts a wing action, there's nothing that can happen in the center. So he's got complete control of the center, and goes bishop d5, ties the knight, and goes rook g1. A move that is not what you would expect normally in a position like this, but he's got a very clear plan. He wants to play g4 and then g5. Black goes king h8, anticipating this, but this just makes it easy also for other future moves, as you will see. White goes g4, black retreats with queen e7 to somehow reduce the impact of g5. White goes g5 anyway, because whatever you do is gonna open the king side. Here black tries to be clever and almost like makes a pass, but the position is lost already here, and because of that he falls for this idea knight to h5. The point behind this move is that it attacks, of course, twice. So even if you do save the pawn with g6, you're gonna lose material, even though that would have been probably the better move. In the game, black just took on d4, completely missing the inevitable checkmate that's coming. And now after queen takes h5, king to g8, white plays g6, which supports the check and mate. And unfortunately for him, the pawn cannot take, and it's game over. So here, good example of how a simple strategic mistake like h6, which would not register most of the time when an engineer has a big mistake, created a target on his back, which led to an easy win for white. So this is very important to remember if you play e4, e5 structures.